So welcome to the world of conversational hypnosis, one of the fastest, most effective, and certainly one of the most powerful ways to not only achieve greater success in your personal and professional life, but also is one of the most powerful therapeutic modalities that's currently out there, at least. And I'm here with Igor Ledochowski, the father, if you will, of conversational hypnosis. Not to toot your horn or anything, but this is pretty much your creation based on the work of Milton Erickson.
Yeah, well, it reminds me of the old Isaac Newton quote when everyone congratulated him on his amazing work of physics. He said he stood on the shoulders of giants, and honestly, every principle, everything I've based conversation hypnosis on, really almost everything has come from Erickson, so he's really the genius from which this comes. We've just made it, we've refined it so it fits a more social context rather than a purely therapeutic context the way he used to work.
Right. And I know there's something that you really like to say quite often. I think you also borrowed it from Erickson, which is that hypnosis is anything but a casual relationship.
Oh yeah, you're right about that. Yeah.
So I'd like to just touch really quickly on how hypnosis has to do with relationships and communication in general.
Sure. So think of it this way. Imagine you're having a very intimate dinner with a friend. Whether it's romantic or not is irrelevant. The fact that it's very intimate and you're talking about very personal, very private things, your hopes, your dreams, your fears, your concerns, and hopefully, of course, you have good enough friends that will respect and value the fact that you're opening up this way. Now imagine whilst you're doing this, some random person or maybe a new person at the office sees you and starts waving and comes over. How do you feel? You feel a little like, well, not now, because this is kind of important and this other outsider will start interfering with this, right? So hypnosis creates that kind of intimacy. It's a very intimate relationship. And people don't necessarily realize this. They think, oh, hypnosis is making like chickens and all the rest of it. But once someone goes into a trance, you're actually getting in touch with their unconscious, and that part of them which is very personal, very private, very part of their real humanity, not the face they put onto the outside world, but everything that's on the inside world, including the vulnerabilities. And so you really have to respect it. You really have to put yourself in a state of mind of being that friend in that restaurant. And first of all, not abusing the information you get, because that in itself is just, imagine you telling your friend your biggest, darkest secret, and he just posts on Facebook. That would not be a good thing, right?
Some friend that would be.
Exactly. So you got to be really respectful of this, and because it creates this level of intimacy, the other thing you'd be very careful of is that you don't do it all the time. If you keep doing it all the time, you end up having one of two reactions from people, right? And then they're more extreme reactions, and it will happen. It's unfortunately I've seen it happen with people who kind of weren't aware of the downfall, shall we say. The first reaction is some people get overload. In other words, it's getting too much, you're getting too intense, too close. I want nothing to do with this person now because I feel the intimacy starting, but I don't know this person well enough yet. I don't trust this person enough yet. So why on earth should I be getting this intimate? But because I feel it happening anyways, I'm going to back off as a self-defense mechanism. So you've basically lost a potential friend, right? The other side of it, the flip side of it, is you can create obsession. And it may sound like fun. It's how people chasing me around, clients loving me and all the rest of it. No, it's a really, really, really bad place to be. When I say obsession, think stalker, right? Stalking is really, someone who gets into stalking type mindset, it's on a more extreme side of obsession. Behind that you have infatuation and behind it you have other things. But once again, if you overload people's emotional circuits, especially people who crave intimacy but aren't getting it in their day-to-day life, and then you start handing it out like candy, it can create that obsessive mindset. It can create a sort of stalking mindset. A little bit at a time is fine, but once you get past a certain boundary, you've got to be very, very careful, very, very respectful, because it's no good for you and it's no good for them. Honestly, it's no good for anyone. And as far as I'm concerned, hypnosis is and should be used as a tremendous force for good, right? It has amazing power. You've seen it, how it's healed people, how it's transformed people. And so, like with any tool, you take a sharp chef's knife, right? The kind that cuts right through a big loaf of meat like this. You don't want to go running around with it. You don't want to wave it in people's faces. It's a tool which does a great job, but you have to have respect for the tool. Likewise, a car. You drive a car, right? You don't drive a car through a playground whilst kids are playing to show off, look at these donuts I can do. Why? Because it's crazy, it's dangerous, right? It may be fun to do a donut, but not when you might hit kids or the cars or the property. You get the idea?
Sure.
So every time you have a tool that is powerful, you must respect that tool. You must treat it with respect, because if you go on the wrong side of it, you start applying it foolishly, well then, you can do harm, and that's not a good thing.
So when someone learns hypnosis, what are some of the what are some of the skills and tools that are as powerful as you're saying?
Yeah, well, the good thing is, first of all, when someone learns hypnosis, they don't know how to create the intimacy yet, which is great. So you have an automatic safety mechanism, because it requires a lot of skill to really create those really powerful and transformational trances, right? So at first, you'll have small little pocket trances, which are invigorating and inspiring and happy and positive. And that's wonderful, because as your level of skill progresses, so does the ability to enter that intimate bubble. And so hopefully also your experience progresses, so that you realize when it's appropriate to go that deep and when it isn't, right? So, for most of the conversational hypnosis interactions I stick around the open entrance, the same place that novices will stick around. It just makes people feel good. Your waiter has a crappy day and he leaves energized with a smile on his face. It's a wonderful thing to do, right? I don't have to give him the same kind of intimacy he had with his grandfather reading him a story, because it's inappropriate in a restaurant, right?
But you're saying that a hypnotist does have the ability to give someone that relationship.
Absolutely. So what happens is, and this is the point I'm trying to make, is we have a sliding scale of intensity, right? Day-to-day intensity is like, it just makes someone feel good, help them resolve a quick problem, dissolve a fear or concern. Excellent, right? The big levels of intimacy, those big bubbles where you make really life-transforming things, those are reserved for special occasions, and quite rightly so. So the wonderful part is, as a novice, you don't have the skill yet for those big situations, which means you're protected from doing accidental harm by just going nuts over it, right? So the key to learning the process is you start off making people feel good. As your skill progresses, you'll notice that intimacy growing more intense, and you'll notice the consequences of that. And at some point, hopefully, you will also realize, okay, this is a good place to leave it with this person, and with the next person who really needs help, then you can really go for broke, make a transformation. May I illustrate with a story?
Sure.
So, two of my students, two ladies, we're here in Vegas, of course, they were going to the Strip, and they were waiting for the shuttle bus to take them to the Strip here in Vegas, and there was a very angry drunk there, the kind of person you cross the street because there's an aura of violence around them, right? Now, bless their cottons, these two ladies walk right up to him and start talking to him. They start diffusing his anger, right? Now, his story comes out. It turns out he's a father. His daughter is a nurse. She died last week. And then he spent the next 4 days basically in a blind stupor to dull the pain inside himself. And of course, the more drunk he got and the more the pain couldn't be suppressed, the more that turned to frustration and anger. And you can see where all this would come from, right?
Right.
And this is an example, again, where this incredible intimacy is important, because you don't get through that casually either, right? So they were very charming. They chatted to him, they talked to him, they build this bubble of intimacy. And in the course of a 20-minute or so conversation, they healed this poor man's heart. He went from broken-hearted, drunk and violent, to basically beginning to heal the grief that he felt around his daughter's parting. And I think it's a tremendous gift to give to someone, right? And once you see something like that, once you understand the power of something like that, then you don't want to do with everyone, because it just isn't appropriate. You don't push people to those limits if they don't have to. So yeah, it's a tool to use respectfully. It's a very powerful tool, and the old Spider-Man quote, with great
power comes great responsibility.
Absolutely.
And so if someone's interested in learning hypnosis, I mean, of course, we've got the Power of Conversational Hypnosis trainings that are coming up, and you can see the dates below. Why would somebody want to learn
Oh my goodness.
conversational hypnosis?
Well, in my mind, it's more a question of why wouldn't they, right? So I'll give you lots of examples of how my students have used it, how I've used it myself, and hopefully that kind of gives you an idea. So I was in London and talked to some of my students' parents, and one of their sons had huge confidence issues, right? And as a result, his school was being affected. He was doing poorly in the exams and all the rest of it. You know, the classic negative spiral, right? So they actually took the Power Conversation Hypnosis, the weekend course. They didn't even take the longer courses. They went home and then casually started chatting to him and using the blitz, the hypnotic blitz technique with him. And over the period of 6 months, they kind of embedded little ideas and they built on them and flourished them and grew them to the point where, let's put it this way, about a year after all this whole process, the father was driving to school, picked up his son. Now, remember, this was the shy boy in the corner, confidence issues, problems at school and so on. The scores and exams had already risen by this point. What really shocked his father is, as he drives up to school, his son is there, surrounded by, 15 girls. He's holding court. They're all looking at him adoringly, and he's handing out, praise and talking to them, all the rest of it. And then he comes to he beeps. The son comes to the car. He's about 15 right now. Closes the door. His father starts going, "Wow, what happened?" His son goes, "One moment." Goes zip, opens up, and goes, "That's better." He goes, "What did you just do?" He said, "Oh, Mum gave me a confidence suit, and I'll just take it off so I can relax." Do you see what I mean? This is really powerful stuff. And, as frustrated parents, they spend years trying to figure out, what do I do to help my son? And then in a couple of conversations, they do it.
So how would somebody put on a confidence suit?
Are you looking for the trick now, are you?
Yeah. Zip me up, baby.
Yeah, well, here's a simple answer, right? You revivify all the experiences you've had in life of things succeeding, being happy, being positive, things working out, feeling confident, being competent, and so on. You revivify them all, and then create a symbol. The symbol is best that the child, in this case, chooses a symbol, and I'm sure he chose the idea of putting on a suit, like a power suit or something like that, and then that developed into zipping it up and zipping it down as his personal metaphor for having those feelings. But once you can routinely bring these experiences, these resources to life, which is really easy to do with hypnosis, all you do is you keep doing it, and you link it to some kind of a trigger. In this case, it's the zipping of the suit, right? He liked the metaphor, of course. And then it just ingrains, so that when he does this, he's confident. When he does this, he's back to his relaxed, quiet, more introverted self. Exactly, right? It's a wonderful thing to do. And by the way, this is not the only way of doing it. I'm just giving you one off the top of my head. Right. With each person, as you learn these maneuvers, actually, they will teach you what they need in order to develop the confidence, in order to be inspired, in order to break through obstacles, in order to make better decisions, right?
Right. So, in terms of better decisions, I mean, obviously there's some powerful therapeutic uses for this. You can help people become more confident and that sort of thing. Who else is really a great candidate for learning hypnosis?
All right. How about salespeople, right? We've got to a point in history where sales has become a dirty word, right? Mm-hmm. And if you look at the metaphors within sales, you can see why. They're all combat metaphors. You've got to crush the client. You've got to take the lead. You've got to go for the kill, right? It's a whole testosterone-laden bunch of craziness. And what that leads towards is people pushing people into decisions that are bad for them. That's a terrible way of doing sales. In fact, in the UK in the 1980s and in the US in the 1970s, they learned the problem with that style of sales. In the UK, it was with double glazing salesmen for windows, and in the US, it was for aluminum siding, where you had all the cowboys come in and basically lie, cheat, and steal to get a contract, and of course, do really shoddy service afterwards. Now, they thought they were on easy streets, they were making lots of money, but then the public caught up to the trick. And what happened? Massive loss of trust, and then the whole industry basically went bankrupt, because no one trusted the industry anymore. And this is the problem. Well, aside from the ethical issues, which is the bigger problem, it's incredibly stupid as for a salesperson to burn their bridges, because it's very hard to find a client and then to really abuse them so you make sure you never, ever, ever, ever work with that person again. It's ridiculous. So what does hypnosis or conversation hypnosis offer us? It switches the model around, you see. If we look at it more as a coaching model or a consultant or a mentor, then my role as a salesperson really is to help you to make a really, really good decision, a decision you will be over the moon about, right? Now, that entails a couple of things. The first thing it entails is, if what I have to offer is of no value, I've got no business selling it, right? Secondly, if what I have to offer has no value to you, I again have no business offering it to you. So
Right.
my first thing is got to figure out, does what I have and what you need, do they match? Once those things match, all I have to do is help you get into the state of mind where great decisions are made. And then you will do the obvious connecting the dots, right? Now here's the thing. Even if your product is slightly inferior to someone else's, but you take the time to help someone make great decisions, they will evaluate it too, including how you helped them, the favor you did them by making them feel comfortable in that decision-making process. And they'll think to themselves, you know what, this one may be slightly better, however in this one, I actually get taken care of. And that's more important to me, right? So it actually is an extra ace in a company's sleeve to have that really powerful customer relationship, because it creates loyalty, it creates the easiest way to get a referral program going is to make people love what you do and enjoy the way they've been treated. And there really is no competition at that point, because the competition can't do the fundamental thing you're doing, which is helping people feel great and make great decisions, and to know that every step they take with you will always be the right step. In that case, the threshold for making decisions goes down and down and down each time, because you become a very highly trusted advisor. And that's what conversational hypnosis can do. It's tremendously exciting.
So if you're a salesperson and you're watching this, you definitely want to take a look at registering for the Power of Conversational Hypnosis course. If you are a therapist, a healer of any sort, if you are looking to improve your therapeutic practice, this is definitely the course for you, and especially some of the other ones that we have as well. And if you're looking to build relationships, hypnosis is anything but a casual relationship. Igor, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.